Go ahead and call to order the Escada Planning Commission meeting Thursday, January 8th at about 11 o'clock here. This is a rescheduled meeting from, was it a power outage?
Yes.
Power outage in December. And so we went ahead and bumped it to today. Can we do a roll call?
Chair Wheeler,
Here.
Commissioner Eisenberger,
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Here.
Commissioner Spence,
Here.
Commissioner Perkins should be in attendance, just not here yet. Commissioner Stahl,
Here.
and then Commissioner Tucker is absent.
Okay. Thank you. First item of business we have is the approval of the November 19, 2025 meeting minutes. On that, we'll need a second or a first motion and a second, excuse me.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion needed on this? No. Again, just friendly reminder, these are all available on the city's website or YouTube page?
Both.
Both. Excellent. In their entirety. So let's go ahead and vote on it. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries. Next up, we have commission business. I don't believe I have any business. Anybody else have any thing that they need to bring up for the planning commission? Okay, we'll keep moving on.
Do we have updates or anything like that?
We got city updates is the next, it's 4A, we'll call it.
Okay.
Really quickly, I would like to just thank the city staff and the transportation committee, as well as the city council. Many of you may have seen that there's a new added four-way stop on Broadway and 6th Street. As many of you know, particularly during the school year, beginning of school and end of school year, those are treacherous places for congestion and danger with students crossing crosswalks, etc. And so just very grateful for all committees and groups who were a part of the process to make our city safer. I know that sometimes change in traffic patterns leads to social media disgruntlement, but in the long-term health of our city and increased traffic, I think it's a benefit for all. So I just wanted to publicly and formally thank the people who were a part of that process.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, let's get a city update. Alan, you gonna take this one?
This is
update?
me.
No?
Yeah. So I did not prepare a PowerPoint for you today because I'm going to keep it really short since you have a really big packet. I wanted to see if anybody was interested in serving on the review committee. We're going to be getting proposals for the Parks Master Plan consultant. We issued the RFP on Monday. So if anybody is interested, I just need one volunteer who is willing to look through the proposals and score them and help us pick a new consultant for that.
I'll do it.
You'll do it? Okay, great.
Thank you.
I will work
I
with
second
you.
that.
I will work with you to schedule that so that it works for everybody.
Perfect.
And then speaking of school zone, we are in the process of updating the safe routes to school. And it started with a survey that went out for all caregivers. So if you haven't filled in that survey and you are a person who helps transport children, like you drive them, walk them, help them get on and off the bus, please fill out that survey. It's on the city's social media. I'm not sure if it's yet on the school district.
We sent it to every parent yesterday.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And that's all the updates today.
Do we have a update on the wastewater treatment plant? Everybody likes to hear about that.
Oh, we're moving along. You know, we poured some walls. I think we're on wall 4, 5, and 6 for the Headworks building, I hope. So it's just, constant changes moving along. We selected an engineer to do the water plant upgrades, and then we issued an RFP also this week for the membrane equipment because we're going to pre-purchase the membrane equipment to upgrade the water treatment plant. It has a really long lead time. So we want to start construction of that next winter.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. Any questions? All right. Thanks for the quick and good update on the city. Let's go ahead to public hearings. We have 3 of them, it looks like. I will read a statement here one time after the first public hearing, just so everybody in the audience can hear that. We'll have a staff report provided by Alan. And then we go ahead and we'll ask for public comment. From that public comment, we go back into the planning commission meeting, make a decision, and we'll rinse and repeat 3 times on the different public hearings. So let's go annexation 2025-02, annex 30405 Southeast River Mill Road.
All right, thank you. Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Happy New Year. I'm going to present my report and recommendation for 2025-02-annex. Disregard that date. That was for the canceled meeting. So the applicants are Neil and Tamara Davis. They live on the property that is being requested to be annexed into the city, described as such there at that address and tax lot. The current county zoning is rural residential farm forest 5 acre or RRFF 5. And the city comprehensive plan designation for that property is light industrial. Proposal is simply to annex their property, which is just under 10 acre lot, into Estacada city limits. They're not requesting a change to the light industrial comprehensive plan designation, and no development or further land division is proposed at this time. And we received comments from the city engineer and the fire marshal. And this is just to orient everyone here. So the property outlined in blue is the property in question. We can see it's just north of Southeast River Mill Road. It's just to the west of Highway 224. It's adjacent to the RV park, the new RV park that went in a couple years ago, and it's just north of Timber Park. And the relevant criteria for this application are these 2 chapters of the Estacada Municipal Code, 16.101 for zone changes and 16.124 for annexations. And I'll talk about 16.101 first. And there are several approval criteria. I'll just go through them quickly. Zone change applications must be consistent with the comp plan. Public services must be available to the site requested for the zone change. The transportation system must be adequate or be able to be made adequate. The proposal must be consistent with the Oregon Highway Plan, and the transportation system must be adequately safe. And staff finds that all 5 criteria are either met or not applicable at this time. And so we find that 16.101 is met. And we'll move on to 16.124 that deals specifically with annexations. Okay, so 2 basic criteria must be met for an annexation proposal to be valid. And the first one is down there at the bottom. The site must be located within the Estacada UGB or urban growth boundary. And if we look at the map, the red dashed line indicates the urban growth boundary. Everything that's colored inside is within Estacada's urban growth boundary. And we can see from this map that the property is within the UGB. And second, the site must be contiguous to existing city limits. So this is a screenshot from Clackamas Maps, and everything in gray is within city limits. Everything that's white is outside of city limits or in the county. And so we can see here that the property requested for annexation is adjacent to city limits on both the north and the east. Okay, there are 3 other relevant criteria in this chapter. So the first is that the proposed use for the site complies with the Estacada Comprehensive Plan and with the designation on the Estacada Comprehensive Plan map. Secondly, adequate capacity of urban services exists or can be made available within 3 years of the annexation approval. And third, findings documenting the availability of police, fire, parks, and school facilities and services shall be made to allow for conclusionary findings either for or against the proposed annexation. And I'll go through these one at a time. And so for the first one, the applicant proposes to zone the property according to the adopted comprehensive plan designation, which is light industrial as we showed on the map. So that is met. The second, about adequate services, the city engineer has confirmed that city infrastructure and services will support future development of this lot. And third, concerning findings about the availability of services, Estacada School District and Fire District did not submit concerns about this application. Police services will continue to be provided by Clackamas County Sheriff as they are now. And there's plenty of park capacity. There's Wade Creek Park and Campanella Park nearby to the east, and Timber Park is right across the street. And so the criteria from 16.124 are met. And as staff finds that all relevant criteria have been met or can be met, staff is recommending approval of this annexation application, subject to 4 conditions of approval, which I'll go through now. And so this first one simply specifies the delineation of the property to be annexed. And I'll show a little map. So this is the map that was submitted. There was some revisions made to it. But at this point, it's been pre-approved. This map and its legal description have been pre-approved by Oregon Department of Revenue. And here are the last 3 conditions of approval that we are recommending. First is a waiver of remonstrance against future right-of-way dedication or right-of-way improvements. I should say the third, the existing single-family home may continue as a non-conforming use, subject to criteria in the condition. And finally, the city will adopt an ordinance to finalize the annexation and update the official comprehensive plan and zoning maps. And that concludes my presentation for this application. Happy to take any questions now or later. If the applicant would like to come up and speak about the application, they're welcome to. We can hear public testimony if there's any. Commission will discuss the application, and then we'll be looking for a motion to recommend approval with conditions, or denial of findings.
Any questions for Alan at this point in time?
Can you go back to the remonstrance?
Sure.
One more. Oh, no, you're right. You're right. It was the top one.
Mhm.
So the waiver of remonstrance means that for whatever that word is, that you come the
Right away?
right away, or is it right away?
Yeah, yeah.
I think you said, there's a, like when you allow someone from land easement. Thank you. So if we have that means that we have the ability, or they have the ability to protest easement decision, or we have the ability to protest that.
They're basically waiving the right to protest right-of-way improvements that have been planned for that area.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is a little bit confusing.
Yeah. Thanks. That's helpful.
Number 3 up there, the single family home may continue as a non-conforming use.
Mhm.
That's indefinitely, as long as it's a continued use that
Exactly.
isn't stopped for, what is the time frame? A year?
Yeah, if it's stopped for a year and a day, then it would need to, they'd have to apply for a conditional use or apply for some kind of way to continue it, depending on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have before we jump in, this Department of
Revenue, yep, DOR.
that's new, right?
No, that's how it's done, and I don't know why. I don't know why Department of Revenue is the department that approves the maps. I assume it's because it's a taxing issue. But that is what the state requires for it to be made, for it to be acknowledged. The city can go through the approval process. There'll be an ordinance that makes it final. And then it goes to Department of Revenue and DLCD, the planning department, state planning department. And once those 2 departments acknowledge it, then it's totally finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember seeing it, but I take your word that we've seen it.
Yeah, well, what we used to do is we would do that afterwards. So now
Okay.
we're just getting it out of the way so that we don't get into this situation where it's just this back and forth with DOR. We're actually just getting it pre-approved. It's just ready to go. Once council approves this, then they will pass the ordinance. It just goes to DOR and it's a done deal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, I have one more. So the city services statement of, we get from the engineer, we can approve, or we will have city services within 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, they're adequate now, or they will be within 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only question on that is, we obviously have a wastewater treatment plant under construction. We have
Yeah.
water improvements under construction or RFPs in process.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure that 3 years is like an accurate statement. Like, I don't want to get to a point where we front load a bunch of this stuff
Yeah.
and then it comes 3 years and we're like, oh crap, we really don't have capacity until
Yeah.
tomorrow or a year down the road.
Right, right. I would read over the capacity statement that's included in as an exhibit.
Okay.
Just for more details about that, but I will say this lot is zoned industrial. It's not zoned residential or, any density of residential. So we would not expect this lot to require a lot of wastewater or water service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even
And
though it's
I
technically-
trust Kurt, and I just want to make sure
Sure.
that 3
Yeah.
years is like a good buffer
Yeah, yeah.
for us to get all our stuff
Yeah.
done.
Kurt's statement said actually that it'd be closer to 2 years.
Thank you.
That it'll be ready. We expect to have the wastewater treatment plant completed by the end of next year. So
Excellent. One thing I forgot to do early on in this kind of derails this right now, but I forgot to introduce Julie. She is a PG rep and is sitting on the planning commission as a advisory person, I guess, just another set of ears and eyes.
Yep.
Kind of helping represent PG and everything they do. So those of you that watch these on a monthly basis, which I know there's a whole contingent of people that do that, you'll recognize Julie over here from now on. And thanks for coming. Okay, let's go this. Since we don't have any more questions at this point in time, let's go ahead and jump into the public hearing portion. And so I'm going to read the statement and then I can ask the applicant to come up if they choose. They don't have to though. So an issue which may be the basis for appeal to the city council must be raised prior to the close of the record at the final evidentiary hearing on this specific application. Such issues shall be raised with sufficient specificity as to afford the city council and the parties adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. Failure of an issue to be raised at the hearing in person or by letter, or a failure to provide sufficient specificity to afford the city council and the parties an adequate opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the city council on that issue. With that being said, would the applicants like to come up and speak about their? Do we have any questions at this point in time? It doesn't look like it. So thank you. We'll call on you if we need you. And if there's anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on this application, they can feel free to step to the mic. We can turn it on if need be. And with all three of these public hearings, we'll ask you just introduce yourself and provide your address for the public record. So it doesn't look like there's anybody. Do we have anybody online, Evelyn? Okay, this could be great. Let's go ahead and close out of the public hearing and we'll go back into the planning commission meeting then. And so then our job is to take Alan's staff report and make a decision on how we want to move forward with this. It'll take a motion and a second, and then we can discuss further after that point. We have the 4 conditions of approval that are in our packet. So at any point in time, we'll take a motion and a second.
As soon as I find it, I'll motion it.
Yeah. I was looking for it too.
Alan, do you have the 3 options up there that you can put on the screen for us?
I mean, the bottom 3 are right there. Say, I
Yeah.
motion to recommend approval
Okay.
of,
I motion to recommend approval in alignment with city recommendations.
I second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve with the 4 conditions of approval and a second. Is there any further discussion needed? Doesn't appear so, and it doesn't appear that Tara joined us online, so it's just the 5 of us here in the room. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Looks like passes unanimously. All right, so this will go on to city council?
that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
2 to 3 weeks, month maybe?
No, like 4 days.
Oh, 4 days, right?
Yeah, we're doing a real quick turnaround this time because, we just wanted to keep everything on schedule.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so 4 days from now, it'll go to city council. Anything between now and then, if you have any questions, you can direct them towards Alan here. Who I'm sure you're familiar with already. And perfect.
Great.
Moving right along then. Let's go ahead and jump on to the next item of business on the public hearings. It's conditional use 2025-05-CU. This is Calvary Chapel permit modification. And again, we'll hand it over to Alan.
All right, thanks, man. Let's wait till this gets up. There it is. Again, the date is wrong. We'll just ignore that. So this is the this is staff's recommendation for the application's conditional use application 2025-05-CU. The applicant is Carlos Martinez. The addresses that this would affect are 355 and 360 South Broadway Street, just a block or two away from here in the downtown zone. And the proposal is essentially to modify Planning Commission's previous approval in 2023 to allow church meetings at an additional location. I believe 360 is the approved location now, and they're looking for approval for 355 South Broadway. We received agency comments from the city engineer, public works director, fire marshal, and our building inspectors, Northwest Code Professionals. Okay, just to orient everyone here, I guess it's kind of hard to see. You can see the 355 and the 360 there. The buildings are outlined in blue. Dollar General is that building, the big white building at the bottom of the screen. So it's really just around the corner. So that our main downtown block there on Broadway. And so you can see from our comprehensive plan map, these properties are right in the middle of the downtown zone. And so EMC 16.26 is the downtown zoning chapter. And we see here in the conditional uses list that a non-residential use permitted as a conditional use in the R1, R2, or R3 zone, not permitted as an outright use listed above, is also a conditional use in the downtown zone. And so we look to the chapter, the R1 chapter, 16.16.030, and that lists church, nonprofit, religious, or philanthropic institution as a non-residential conditional use in the R1 zone. And therefore, church is a conditional use in the downtown zone as well. Okay, moving on to other approval criteria in the downtown zone. So there are parking standards, but there's no off-street parking requirement for uses within 100 feet of this segment of Broadway. And so all relevant criteria in the standards sections are met. And we'll move to another chapter, 16.88. That's the conditional uses chapter, and I will briefly go over all 5 approval criteria. So the proposed use must be listed as a conditional use in the underlying zone, as we just showed. The site characteristics are suitable for the proposed use. The site and proposed development is timely, can be supported by existing systems, etc. The proposed use will not alter the character of the surrounding area in a way that limits or impairs the use of surrounding properties. And the proposal satisfies the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. And staff finds that all criteria in this section are met or can be met with conditions of approval. And there are detailed findings in the staff report. If you want to look through those, I can also answer any questions about that. All right, moving on through the conditional use chapter. So 16.88.020 gives the Planning Commission authority to impose additional conditions which are considered necessary to protect the best interest of the surrounding area and the city as a whole. So sometimes staff or our agency partners miss important details about a proposal. They overlook, we can overlook things that might cause issues down the road. But while staff finds no reason to recommend additional conditions at this time, this is just a reminder that Planning Commission has the authority to impose additional conditions if you all find a reason to. Moving on to 16.88.040. This subsection pertains to building permits for conditional uses. So as I mentioned before, no development or renovation is proposed in this application. But however, staff recommends a condition ensuring that the standards of the section are met in case renovation related to this use is proposed at a future time. And finally, this subsection pertains to the time limit for implementing an approved conditional use. So in its written findings for the previous conditional use request, the planning commission determined that approval would be valid for the duration of Calvary Chapel Church's operation. And so we are recommending granting the same allowance in accordance with that decision. And so staff recommends staff recommends approval of this application, subject to 5 recommended conditions, and I'll go over those quickly. Okay, first is that the approval is limited to the meeting event space in those proposed locations. The occupancy would be limited to 49 persons in the new location. That is a fire request. There's a standard about fire extinguisher placement. That's also a fire department request. There's the building permit requirements that I just went over. And then the stipulation that this authorization would be valid for the duration of the church's operation. And that's all I have. Happy to answer questions, hear public comment. If the applicant would like to speak.
Any questions from the planning commission?
I need some clarification on the parking. 100 feet from 224 and Second Street. That's the street beyond the bank. So is that whole block less than 100 feet? I mean,
Let me look at the,
it just trying to visualize that in my mind. It seems like it's
yeah, let me look
each
at the
block is
standard.
probably at least 100 feet.
No minimum off-street parking required for uses located within 100 feet of Broadway Street between Oregon 224 and Second Avenue. So it's basically this entire stretch. And then 100 feet buffer around the street from the highway to Second Ave.
So they're considering that the area, not an intersection then?
Yeah, it's basically just this stretch of Broadway, 100 feet in any direction from it. Yeah, any property within there. Not
That
required.
makes good sense. Thanks.
Thanks.
As far as the timing on the current conditional use,
Mhm.
I feel like we just looked at that not too long ago, right?
2023. Yeah, well, it's been almost 3 years now.
And when does that expire?
It doesn't expire.
It doesn't
So,
expire,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it doesn't expire. So the last one was just the authorization is good as long as the church exists, as long as there's no violation of the the conditional use approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of the direction I wanted to go to. Was like,
Right.
we
Yeah.
don't need
So
to
we're
keep
just
revisiting
asking,
this if it's working.
we're recommending just extending that to this application as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no other questions. Let's go ahead and we will close down the planning commission meeting, and we'll enter into the public hearing for this specific application. And if you'd like, Carlos, looks like your name's on the top here, Carlos Martinez, come on up and you can give us your 2 cents if you want. If not, if you feel comfortable with where we're going, you don't have to say anything. All right. Is there anybody else out there in the audience that wants to speak on behalf or against this application? Nobody's jumping up and nobody's lighting up online. So let's go ahead and exit the public hearing and go back into the planning commission meeting for a decision.
Oh, yeah. Let me get that back. Back up for you.
Chair Wheeler, I would like to make a motion to approve the proposal in alignment with city recommendations.
So moved
I'll second the motion.
and second. All right. Any discussion needed? All right, let's go ahead and vote on this thing. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Perfect. Motion carries. Moving right along here.
Yeah.
Go Rangers. I like your sweatshirt.
All right.
I believe we are going to take a break now. We're moving through
We're
this
moving
really
faster than I was
quick.
expecting.
Okay,
So we'll take a break, maybe 11:45-ish.
Okay. And Neil and Tammy, if you guys want to stick around, you're more than welcome, but don't feel obligated. You're not going to hurt our feelings if you want to go do other things. So this is going to get into the planning commission, like 101 and 102 and 103 right here. So let's go ahead with staff report ordinance 2025-013.
all right, let me call it up.
This is what we come for.
All right. Okay, so now I will present my staff report for ordinance 2025-013, which is the Development Code Update Project, Phase 1. Okay, so this past January, the council identified updating the development code as a primary goal for the year. So staff drafted an RFP to procure planning help for the development code update project. Per the RFP, the goal of this project is to create an accessible and easy to understand development code that presents information in a logical, easily digestible, segmented fashion, reduces informational clutter, and limits cross-referencing, meets all legal requirements of the state of Oregon, and supports the vision and goals of the Estacada Comprehensive Plan. So then in March, Winterbrook Planning was awarded the contract to draft the code audit diagnostic report, which they completed in June. The report provides a comprehensive evaluation of the development code, or Title 16, focusing on compliance with state laws, clarity and objectivity for approvals of residential development, administrative efficiency, and policy alignment with community goals. And then Winterbrook recommended tackling the code amendments in 3 stages. So phase 1, phase 2, and then future phases. So then in August, Winterbrook presented a summary of the code audit diagnostic report to the council. And in the following months, staff drafted amendments to the development code according to the recommendations of that diagnostic report. So ordinance 2025-013 essentially comprises phase 1 of the development code update project. And in a nutshell, this ordinance would amend 30 chapters of Title 16. In these ways: implementation of state mandated standards, administrative and organizational improvements, and revisions for consistency and comprehensibility. And I just want to note here, if there are any questions about the specific sections of the draft amendments themselves, I'm happy to discuss those after the presentation. All right, so in order for the council to adopt this ordinance, which involves amending the city's development code, all relevant approval criteria must be met. So relevant approval criteria in this case includes the Oregon statewide planning goals, Estacada's comprehensive plan goals, and chapter 16.128 of the development code. So we'll start with that chapter, Title 16. So there are 4 sections here, and this is the first. Legislative amendments may be initiated only by planning commission or city council. And since these amendments were initiated by council, this criterion is met. The second reads that planning commission is to make a recommendation to city council upon completion of a public hearing. That's what we're doing right now. And the planning commission and council must adopt findings to establish that this legislative amendment will not conflict with provisions of the development code or the comp plan. And the legislative amendment may only be made by a council or planning commission after a public hearing. And so these criteria are in the process of being met right now. Findings shall be made in writing, be made public, and shall be consistent and in conformance with applicable regulations of the Estacada Municipal Code and the comp plan. These criteria will also be met. We're in the middle of doing that right now. And finally, no application for an amendment to the development code shall be considered by planning commission within a 1-year period immediately following a previous denial of a request or substantially similar request. And no similar amendment has been proposed and then denied in the last year. So this criterion is met. And we will now move on to discussing the statewide planning goals and the comprehensive plan goals. So the city published information about this hearing in the local paper and on the city website. We sent notice to the State Planning Agency, DLCD, and we are following all other pertinent land use laws related to public hearings. And so these procedural goals are met. So most state and comprehensive plan goals do not apply to these amendments, and this is a list of all of those. There's ones that have to do with rural lands, resource lands, economic development, housing, and such. Those are not really touched by these amendments. However, there are 2 statewide planning goals and 2 comp plan goal chapters related to the content of these amendments, and they are these. So the ordinance includes an amendment to EMC 16.16.040, the section outlining development standards in the R1 or low density residential zone. So this amendment would extend North City residential zone protections related to Kern Creek to the R1 zone as well. And so by expanding protections for the city's water resources, this ordinance supports these statewide planning goals and comprehensive plan chapters. And so staff recommends approval of this ordinance without any conditions of approval. And here we are again. I'm happy to take any questions. If there's any public testimony, we can hear that. We'll be looking for a recommendation.
This is the big one, guys and gals.
I don't know if this is the appropriate place for this specific question, but because the comp plan is included in this conversation and some solidifying that you're asking for us to do, if either the Planning Commission or the Economic Development Commission wanted to propose some edits around the comp plan, is this the time prior to this to do that, or can that be done at any time in collaboration with City Council? And really, I'm just talking about color changes more than I am about those types of things.
Like actual zoning changes?
Yeah.
Yeah, zoning changes, that would be, that would involve comprehensive plan and development code
Yeah.
changes. Or comp plan map changes at least.
Does what we're approving, because this is really just a framework and a handbook, right? Essentially.
Well, these are changes to the development code. So
Okay.
these would affect, applications, just basically how we implement our development code. When applications come in, it affects what we're reading. It affects the standards that we're applying to
Okay.
applications. Yeah.
Well, maybe you can help me filter really, I'm asking process questions in terms of how to work through this, but I shared with you all that the Economic Development Commission would like to have a joint meeting with the Planning Commission, and really the impetus is around, as you all look at the comprehensive master plan, it's skewed very heavily in residential, providing minimal space for commercial. And as the economic development group works hard to try to economically develop us from a commercial perspective, i.e. a chain grocery store, chain restaurants, chain fast food, some of those things that are indicative of growing, thriving communities. In order for us to achieve that 5-year, 10-year targets in alignment with the city's strategic plan, there's not a lot of current space designated for these things to happen. And so my question is, and maybe you can help define this for me, but like central mixed use, anything that says mixed, I'm under the impression that it could go either to commercial or residential, correct?
Yep.
And so, as you can see in the comp plan, we're heavy in residential indications, and there is some mixed designations in here as well. But we've, in the last 4 or 5 years, have had a pattern to giving it to the first bidder, which has skewed residential, not commercial. And so the desire of the Economic Development Group in collaboration with the Planning Commission group is to see how we could advocate to and with the city council on designating more very specific commercial, not to be residential, in order to pave the way for growth, because our growth right now is astronomically unbalanced in residential. And all of these residential things coming in, they're still driving to Oregon City, driving to Sandy, driving somewhere else to do their economic purchasing. And so I just wonder, what is back to my process question, approve this or not approve this? What are some processes that we could navigate to work through the comp ed plan in order to help us facilitate growth in a more balanced fashion?
Yeah, that's a bigger discussion. I think that the workshop that we're having with Planning Commission EDC
Yeah.
is a great first step.
Perfect.
I know the council is doing goal setting, and this is the kind of thing that's on their radar. I don't know specifically about rezoning to increase the amount of mixed use or commercial space, but I know that the council's definitely interested in economic development and is going to be looking at a host of questions around
Yeah.
this stuff. As far as its relation to this ordinance, yes, I wouldn't say that it's especially
Relevant to this.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not. I mean, the things that are kind of fixed in this, or that we believe are fixed, are more like administrative things. It's for clarity. It's referential. It's like, so you're not, sometimes you get referred to a part of the code and you look and it's not there, or the number's wrong. It's that kind of nuts and bolts
Okay.
thing right
Yep.
now.
Clerical.
More clerical, yes.
Yeah.
More clerical than content or policy.
Or visionary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Got a question about the airport in the industrial zone and
Yeah.
then down in the overlay zone. What is the overlay zone exactly?
The overlay zone, what is the full name of it? It has a long name. It's like the Airport Safety and Compatibility Overlay Zone, I think that's what it's called.
That's listed, that's added as a new thing under the overlay zone.
So it's added in the list, but it's not actually added as a new chapter. So the chapter was added without the list being updated. So it's basically where you see it entered in the list. It's like if you wrote a chapter in a book and you didn't put it in the table of contents. We're just listing it in the table of contents. That's all that is.
There's nothing in here that will expand airport use other than the Valley View Airport right now, is there?
Wait, what was the first part of the question?
No.
There's nothing in here
Mm-mm.
Oh, that would,
No.
that would expand
oh,
the
expand.
use of an
expand.
airport like in an industrial zone.
No,
or
no,
else. There's
no, nothing like that. No. That'd be a pretty substantial policy change, and we're not tackling any kind of policy issues in this.
I do remember, because I think we saw a draft of this, did we not, like 6 months ago, 5 months ago? Because
August.
yeah, because I remember
Okay.
we had a question about signs.
Oh, well, that was a sign code
And I
update.
was-
That was passed. There are I don't believe there are any edits to sign
Okay.
code regulations
Okay.
in here. But yeah, that was another comprehensive set of amendments. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Ryan's question on the comp plan.
Yeah.
Designations. So we've been through a couple of those since, at least that I can remember. It's kind of a daunting process, isn't it? Because the state DLCD is involved, and when we made this version with the highway commercial and the
Right.
outdoor commercial and all that,
I was not here. I believe that's 2019.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I started in 2022.
So it was, yeah, it seemed to be a fairly daunting process.
I think procedurally, yeah, there's a lot of steps. I haven't gone through it like a comprehensive comp plan map update before, so I couldn't personally speak to what that feels like or looks like. But yes, I know that it would involve, as does this, noticing the application with DLCD. Yeah, for this, they will have to acknowledge it at the end. I mean, and as long as we go through all the, step by step and do it right, it's just like, it gets acknowledged, but the same thing with the comp plan map update. And if it is comprehensive, the update, then that would involve updating the comprehensive plan as well, because each zone has its own language in the comp plan.
Mhm.
So if we're removing zones or consolidating or creating new zones, then that would necessitate an update to the comprehensive plan as well.
And there's a lot of noticing that goes on with actual landowners, particularly if you're changing a zone on them, right? And so
Yes, yeah,
I mean, I like where your conversation's going, but I think if we go through that joint meeting and then decide to move forward with it, that process in itself is going to be pretty large. And then it would all trickle down to the new code book that we are adopting, or the revised code book, right?
Yep.
And it would just one for one change out whatever verbiage or whatever's. Yeah, what other language is there, right?
yeah, depending on what was changed. I mean, if zones were deleted, then they would be stricken from that.
Okay.
If they were consolidated and like the definitions or the purposes of the zones were changed, then that language would be updated.
Okay,
Yeah, it just depends on what the changes are.
okay.
So yeah, so like a big, like what we're talking about would involve a change to this map, probably a change to this map,
Mm-hmm.
amendments to the comprehensive plan, and amendments to the development code. So yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
And that's what happened in 2019. It was all that stuff got changed at once. So those are big policy moves.
as far as the state's concerned, how often do we have to look at the comp plan?
Oh, so good. I don't know if there's
I don't think that they have
Requirement?
a
I
requirement.
mean, we haven't done or Estacada hasn't done a overhaul of the comp plan. I don't know ever, maybe not ever. The pieces have been changed. We did a housing code or housing, not just housing code, but housing policy and code update in 2022 and 3 when I first got here. Whenever the transportation system plan is updated, then the transportation system or the transportation chapter gets updated. The economic development chapter was updated in 2018, 2019 when all the zoning updates were done. But I don't know that I don't think the state has any you have to do an overhaul of your comp plan every 10 years or anything.
However, they do have requirements for housing, right? So you have to do a housing
Needs analysis.
and then the housing
Yeah,
strategies.
yeah.
And I know that part of that goes into the housing mix. So your mix of where you allow, higher density versus lower density, and that could be impacted if we're changing some of the mixed use zoning.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's something that
Yeah.
if we do this large project where we're looking at it, that we'll have to consider.
Yeah, and by the way, I have no pet projects or anything specific.
Yeah.
I just the overall ratio. And again, part of to some extent we the Estacadians are punishing ourselves from where the coding and zoning is right now. And I'm really more than anything, because now we get to play a leadership role in what the next 10 or 20 years look like in our community. And I love saying this because it's so unpopular and controversial. But, if you look at our population trends, I mean, right now, we need to have a conversation about where Costco is going to go for 20 years from now. And there is no place for anything. And while I applaud the Locke group and their momentous work in the old mill property, even that property is not big enough for the future economic growth that we need. And since we only have at the moment these red dashed lines to work with, we need to make an adjustment in some way, shape, or form without harming those very things that you're talking about. Yeah, if possible.
One thing that's kind of interesting and that goes with this conversation, but not specifically this application, like we're talking about inventory of land. And if you look at the comprehensive plan, well, either one of them, the orange stripes, they're the North City residential. So that was all previously commercial and industrial, depending on what part of it was. And it sat there vacant for, well, all of our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Not vacant. There was residential houses there on a county zoning. But as soon as that switched to North City residential, then it's developed.
Started moving.
And so it's a chicken or egg thing, like which comes first? Well, we've got the egg already.
Right.
And now we need to move towards making chicken, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know how to put that.
No,
Your analogy is correct.
You're saying that just right.
But that red line is imposing on us. And there is a contingent of people that are on the white side of the red line right now that don't want that red line moved.
Right.
And they'll have an opinion about it. So,
And it would be very difficult for the city to move the line at this point. I mean, there's a lot of land that's not, not developed to its capacity yet.
Yeah.
mhm.
And we would have to justify the very clear need for moving it before they would allow us to move it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any appetite in council to move it.
Yeah.
Putting that out there.
Okay. Are you good with that kind of?
Yeah, no, I just, more than anything, before I voted on that, I just wanted to make sure there was a process and a pathway, and it sounds like there is.
Yeah, there is.
Despite all of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions on where we're at with this right now? We don't have any public for a public hearing, so we can just skip that. And we'll just go ahead and move forward to the planning commission decision
Mm.
and further discussion if needed. Oh, and pizza.
Look at that.
Yeah, feeling this was gonna go longer than it really is.
Well, when you get a good group together like us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we come blanging through this.
And you're doing a great job too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, I did read through all this and I didn't find anything I objected to. In essence, the few things I didn't quite understand, but understanding sometimes comes with time, so nothing here I'm too uncomfortable with. The limitation thing kind of got me for a minute because what Ryan was talking to, if we vote for this thing now, are we limiting ourselves? That's
Yeah.
something we really need to do. And I got that part and it doesn't seem to be, so.
Do we know what some of the issues were in 2019 when the revision,
I wasn't a part of.
and is there any?
Yeah.
So in 2019, we did an economic opportunities analysis, and that analysis led to some rezoning of land based on the report at that time. Now, like, we have seen growth in very different ways than we were expecting in that report, partially due to like COVID and things. So
Yeah.
we were expecting to see a lot more growth in the kind of tourism-based activities. And I think between COVID and the fires, that really impacted the region. And so we have not seen like growth in outfitters and hotels and a lot of the support services that you would have if you had increased tourism. And so a lot of the things that we used to set the changes to the zoning really didn't pan out. But if you want to read the economic opportunities analysis, it is on the website.
Well said.
And now that we're 7 years down the road from that, there's some significant things, the wastewater treatment plant being one of them. There was always the thought of we needed to fix it, build bigger, better elsewhere. Well, now we're doing it right next door. And so like one property in particular is the riverfront commercial. Like the original thought was a hotel would be plunked down there and those outfitters and everything would be right there on the river. But now we have the new wastewater treatment plant. We still have Dick's Logging thriving, I assume. And we have a preschool or daycare that's in the Forest Service building that was vacant at the time. And so now like it's time to revisit some of these things and like, okay, maybe that's not the best use. Across the street, we got 94 acres that's going to be developed. And maybe that's more of that riverfront commercial type. I mean, you're obviously not on the river, but
And
it's gonna-
for both of those sections, for riverfront commercial and the mill mixed use, we're going to be, we were awarded the TGM grant, and we're going to be evaluating those sections and the land use and the compatibility with each other and transportation as part of the TGM package. So I expect when we're done with that project, we'll come out of it with similar, like we did when we did the TSP update. We'll come out of it with a host of recommendations to change both our development code and our mapping.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that'll be a fun project.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah,
well.
we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Okay, well, back to the application at hand. We need a motion and a second. Either approval or denial.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment as written.
Okay, got a motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion needed? Doesn't appear so. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. And this goes to city council as well.
On the 12th, yeah, it's this Monday.
Wow. Yep, perfect. Yep. Well, excellent.
Well, we expected that to be longer, so don't
Yeah.
leave without taking pizza. We ordered lunch for y'all.
I have a feeling that Tara thought we were meeting at noon. And she's gonna walk in. Let's pretend like we haven't had the meeting yet.
We've been waiting for, right?
Yeah, we've just been sitting here for an hour, yeah.
Okay, so then we have a meeting later this month, 21st.
Well, we do, but we don't have, actually, we don't need to have one. We don't have any
We don't have
applications to,
anything For the
unless-
agenda, and now that the
That's right.
workshop is being
Yeah.
rescheduled to February, you won't have a meeting.
And has everybody done their doodle poll? Doodle poll?
Yes, doodle.
Done the one to redo the.
That's what the 7th and 8th of, or,
I think it's the 17th and 18th of February.
thank you.
Doodle polls.
Be there.
and the February planning commission meeting is what day? Do you remember?
The planning commission meeting is the 18th.
18th.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it's either
that's
bef-
right. So it would be on the same
Yeah,
day.
it's either
Or,
before
yeah,
the
either the day
Economic
before or the same day.
Development Commission
right.
meeting or before the planning commission meeting. So if you need to make a motion, you can do it in the meeting after. Because you can't make motions during the workshop.
To change the comprehensive plan. I like it.
Well, the-
Just plain.
So the planning commission can make a motion to.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, for public record, that was a joke.
Anything else we need to discuss?
Nothing small.
No.
I
Let's
forgot
leave.
I was gonna bring it up in
Let's
the
leave.
update.
Uh-huh.
What's going on with the apartments between Kaz and the
That
Red Fox?
We're waiting for them to pay for their building permits.
So there was a deadline, so that was to file the permits?
That was to complete the permit review, and they have reached that deadline, and the review is complete, and they are ready for payment and pickup.
So they're going forward with, looks like.
Who knows?
They haven't paid for them yet. That's all I know.
Is there any leeway that if they just keep dragging that on without paying it, that
If
we
they,
can?
there is a deadline, I believe it's 180 days. So after the approval, I believe it's 180 days, they have to pay it, and then the approval expires. Don't quote me on the date.
Oh, we're not. Let's just, let's play devil's advocate here and say the whole thing just blows up. Nothing happens. So it just starts at square one again and.
Yeah, yeah, it could start at square one again.
Interest.
I feel your comment
Money
earlier
is
too
that
about, the COVID and everything probably changed some long-term plans with the tourism and development. Hopefully that'll change. I mean, we've got a beautiful town, beautiful access to the river coming up.
A lot of people that come out here.
Yeah.
A lot of people come up there.
Well, we're going, speaking of access to the river, we're going to be working on building the riverfront dock over here. We're just finishing up some of the property transfer. So there is a little tiny, like a tiny triangle of land across from the community center. The community center owned it. They're transferring it to the city. We're working through that right now. And then after that, we'll apply for a grant and hopefully within the next couple of years, build that riverfront access and the floating gateway dock.
I was wondering if the city had any power to pressure the Forest Service and PGE and other people to open up more of what we had upriver before the fires and before the COVID. I mean, there was.
We have reopened everything of
Have you?
ours. So
Mhm.
it's the Forest Service and I don't see
I mean,
anything
it happened
happening.
everywhere else around the state pretty much after the fires, they developed and cleaned up that area, but. this
No,
Clackamas
it's not
River,
just here because yeah.
It seems more prominent.
Well,
here.
we got left off the list and a lot of those fire grants, rehabilitation stuff too, like our whole region did, which hurt too.
So.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know the answer to that. We were lobbying hard even from the school perspective in terms of our ability to turn the district into like a fire shelter and that kind of stuff. And Phoenix Talents, because that was at the same time with that fire. and Detroit Lake. Also, they all got a ton of money to rehabilitate and turn those things in. And Clackamas, our fire and Molal's fire got entirely left off the list.
And we're the closest to the big metro area.
Correct.
that's Really needed.
Yep. Yeah.
And
And
that will bring business into our town big time too.
Guys, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting and then we
Yeah.
can.
Go ahead, Julie.
We can turn off the recording now.
No talk.